This film is a detective story in which you are in the social detective network called the Committee of 30. The question is not did Line X or Department X or Station X commit the crime, but if the former KGB, the former Stasi, or the British have the answer. Your starting point is to review everything you can on the Committee of 20 and John Cecil Masterman.
I got it, Dad. Hello? Okay, Dad, it's for you.
Hey, get out of here.
Okay.
Hello, this is John.
Okay, John, we got the report. It's a go. The health database linkage files for predicted cancer have a statistical anomaly with this cruise ship. The HMO premiums and insurance company is not wrong. Over 60 passengers have been diagnosed with cancer in the last 3 months, and the only common denominator is they had foreign passports who traveled 2 years before they came down with cancer. It's bigger than 9/11.
This is bigger than 9/11, I agree. All right. It's a go. You got the approval. Food and Drug Administration agrees. Then we're not going to have any contact until I get my findings. And then code word for the findings is marienstrasse. Don't contact me again. Have a good day. The FDA giving me his file. He was a useful idiot, all right. Right in front of me. Name's black and white. Stephen Sheeranley and his wife Mage. I wasn't a mercenary. I wasn't even a rookie of this. I'd done it a couple of times, tell people here and there. And there it was. A file. Right in front of me. Gene Fair. One of their head researchers. My job was simple. To get on the ship, to take the information I was provided from the FDA and to turn one of their agents of influence. It's known as the turn game. He had no suspicion as to his corporation's objectives. I had to get him to work for me in less than 16 days to flush out Gene Fair's modus operandi. If I did my job, I would find out who was behind this. Modus operandi. I did my job. I would find out who was. I would find
Why? Are you trying to set boundaries for me on family vacation now? I thought this was a vacation, not a dictatorial dictatorship.
What did you just say to me?
I'm just trying to say, I never had boundaries before. Don't try to set them for me now.
For me? Please?
For you what? You're never home.
Athena, I'm doing this for the company. I love you and I want you to enjoy this.
For the company, exactly. Not for us.
Athena, you're right. Just stay on the side of Gina Fair tonight. I'm serious.
Whatever.
I had to find a way to flush them out. It was the first night. I had only been on the ship for an hour. I had the client list. There was a high-profile elected official. I a subcommittee member who worked in the Senate Committee on Health, Labor, and Pensions at one time. He retired. I think he was trying to invest in gene fair, so I decided that I would go ahead and break his water supply in order to find the delivery system of the cancer-accelerating drug. I was pretty confident that they had a delivery system. What was the delivery combination and who controlled it? That's what I had to find out. Who had come to fix it and what urgency was there? My sources say they had been using a synthetic carcinogen, a cancer accelerator developed for test on rats called trimexylsynthmine. I'd managed to set the trap. He was a confident sort, walking down the middle of the hall, not a care in the world. But I had him. I was going to be able to tell this one. I could sense it. There's something about following somebody, something about tailing somebody. You can smell it. Must be a pheromone. I don't know what it is. I could tell this one was the weak link.
Hey man, we've been doing this for 2 years. I know you want this bill passed through. I don't want to do this. I'm freaked out! This is the last time I'm going to do this, okay? I'm hanging up now. You understand me? Don't ever ask me to do this again. Hey, who are you? No, I asked you a question.
Does that say Gene Fair?
I asked you a question.
That figures. My dad works for them. He's such a jerk.
I asked you a question.
Did he hire you to follow me?
How long have you been there?
Oh.
The ancient Greeks say fortune befell the gods. But fortune just befell me, and I doubt it was coincidence. Athena Shernley, my target starter, just spoke with one of the mass murderers. Lucky me. I wonder where this was going. Maybe the real Athena had something to do with this. When I arrived at the first port of call, I had a full litany of all the communication frequencies that the island had and some simple procedural tests to monitor the bandwidth. It was a radio spectrum analysis to intercept what I was certain was a data mining operation. Hopefully it wasn't coded. They would have to monitor the victims until they indicated signs of cancer. It was a little more complicated, though. I assumed the maritime communication was part of the operation. An idea about a horrifying movie came to me. The Cancer Pirates. But this wasn't a movie. For all I knew, the only entity to monitor the frequencies were the FCC and the Coast Guard. The middle and high-frequency maritime radio telephone channels had the frequency for daytime range of 100 to 150 miles by day and 1,000 at night. I had to triangulate the fortified data mining operation. I was certain they had to convey information of passenger manifest somewhere that wouldn't leave a footprint I could track. How hard was it going to be to follow this pair of Stingray boots? Give me a break. I don't know what it is about these criminals. They seem to think that church will redeem them. Get their penance from their crimes. Mass murders, killing people with cancer. I knew the walk with God. He had no clue that I was following him. Absolutely none. I saw him round the corner of the church. Kept myself right on his tail. I managed to triangulate the signals as I pulled into the port. Following him, I had a good hypothesis of where we were headed. Twin Quaders Lake, out in the middle of BFE, it seemed to me. Small Azores Island. Pretty nice, though. I was pretty sure that they had ran some type of data traffic, data repository, some data mining operation. If I could just get into the warehouse, if I could just find out where their base of operation was at, I'm sure I would be led to the right answers. It was going to be a difficult journey, but I was up for it. Pretty much could lose me in an instant out here. I had to keep my distance. If I lost him even for a minute, I might not be able to find out where he was at. It took concentration, and it took a lot of willpower to keep up on him, to make sure he couldn't hear me, and that he couldn't see me, but I could keep on his trail to find out where their base of operation was at. When it dawned on me, that had to be it. Hidden in the side of a mountain in the middle of nowhere, this huge facility, run over with shrubs. Didn't seem that there was anyone out there. Probably should have kept my distance a little bit more. Then I started to hear things, kind of sounds in the background. I took my distance back from the problem, saw an opening. I wondered, could I get in there? Could I find out? I moved towards it cautiously, hoping that no one had seen me, that I hadn't been made. I was too far in now. I couldn't get far enough. There was anyone there. The time allotted. I took my time, moved in slowly. There it was, the sounds again. What was going on in here?
¡Cógelo! ¡Cógelo!
I was unconscious, being dragged somewhere. I didn't know what was going to happen.
There was something very strange. Warehouse. Then she came on. I was feeling dizzy, very dizzy, lightheaded. I heard the name SP117 in my head. Why? I don't know. There was something that was very worrisome. I was just trying to find out where the cancer research was going. Where was I? What was going on? Why was this happening to me? And she started leading me through the warehouse. I was in a warehouse looking around. I didn't know why. I heard things like neurogenetics, adaptive neurophysiology, in a small island in the Azores, in a warehouse, and I felt as though I was going to fall into a deep abyss, and she walked like a machine. I was almost certain that she was. She told me things in my dream.
Cancer research thing going on.
One of the strangest cancer things that I've heard about is an infective cancer that affects dogs, and it can be passed from dogs to dog. to its bite. And they're like these infective tumours that grow on the side of the dog wherever they bite. And also Tasmanian devils get them. So cancer can be infective. So we normally think about cancer as being something that comes from the inside and affects us.
This was the epidemiology thing that we were talking about earlier, that infecting people with cancer and then causing epidemiology as the resource to solve the problems.
So viruses have been known
that would be the con on getting the FDA and the U.S. government to go in and do research for cancer therapy. If you can treat it like epidemiology.
Yes.
My mind in a warehouse. And so as I sat there in this warehouse, I followed.
You know, I'm kind of thinking it's a pretty big operation here. I can't believe they're doing all this.
And then it will hit the internet, point again, So first of all, there's a sideways movement, and then there's actually a down, and then there's actually
to move the bishop because I had just come from this church. So I moved the bishop over and over, and the bishop over and over, and the bishop over and over and over and over, outward.
I felt like I had jet lag from hell. How long had I been out? Was that girl for real? What was I gonna do?
Do you guys have any fucking idea what's going on here? You guys are involved in a multinational crime scheme using cancer to fucking rape people's finances. You're the lead data analyst here. How the hell can you fucking do this? Do you even know what you're doing? Do you even know you're watching people die of cancer? Do you have any fucking clue what type of crime this is?
Pero tú eres el gilipollas de George Curry Mason?
Yeah, I'm John Curtin Basin.
George Curry Mason?
Yes.
Cállate la puta boca ya, Yankee. Yankee de mierda, cabrón. ¡Vete a mamar! ¡Hijo de puta! ¡Hijo de puta! ¡Hijo de puta! ¡Aprende, cabrón!
Your friend over there. You have anything to say for him? Do you have anything to say for your friend? You have anything to say for your friend? You guys, I know you think you guys are making money here, but you're not making any money. What are you, French? Why the fuck you dealing with this?
On parle pas ta langue, ferme ta gueule. Comprends rien à tes histoires.
I'm asking you. Do you think that this...
Tais-toi!
You, what the fuck are you? You French? The French in this.
Oui, on comprend pas ta langue, ferme ta gueule.
Why,
On comprend rien à tes histoires.
how do the French and the Spaniards work together, huh? What are you guys doing? You guys making money on the side here? How much money you guys make doing this? You sit in a fucking lab watching people die of cancer? Don't you have any fucking common decency? I'm fucking talking.
Tais-toi! Comprends rien à tes histoires.
Who the fuck do you think you are? You think you're gonna sit there and watch people die of cancer and you're not gonna have any guilt? These people are dying, Frenchie. You understand?
On comprend rien à tes histoires, tu vas te taire.
Fuck, I don't understand what the fuck you say. Fucking, what the fuck? Hold on. Can you speak English?
Non, on parle pas anglais.
Fucking, I'm in the middle of a fucking data repository in a third world country with a French and a Spaniard. What the fuck is going on here? What are you guys gonna do? You guys gonna kick my ass or what? You guys gonna kick my ass or what? You gonna let me go?
On veut bouffer de l'américain, voilà, c'est tout.
You guys are gonna let me go?
Non. Tu restes ici.
Puta.
Look, I don't know where you guys' fucking information's going, but you guys kill me, there's gonna be a bigger investigation. You guys kick my ass, you hold me here for a little while, there's gonna be a bigger investigation. I don't fucking know. What are you guys gonna do? Hold me
Calles
here?
la puta boca.
Kiki, fais-lui fermer sa gueule, à ce con.
Do you both speak each other's languages? What, do you speak French and fucking in Spanish? Huh?
¿Qué dices, cabrón?
You don't even,
Puta.
what the fuck is that?
Hijo
They
de
don't even
puta.
fucking intimidate me. I'll sit here in the corner because you just kicked my ass a little bit. Fucking pussy.
Fucking pussy, tu puta madre, cabrón.
Fucking, you're a fucking pussy and you're a fucking pussy. You know what? I'm gonna take this.
Hey,
I'm gonna take this fucking iPhone.
Que te
and kick
quites
you-
la puta gorra esta de
I'm gonna fucking take
gilipollas.
this iPhone and kick your
Puta.
fucking ass with it. Is what I'm gonna fucking do. Think I can kick your ass with this fucking iPhone?
It's your typical criminals. They drop me off at some downtown gentleman's club in Ponta Delgada. Why they let me get back on the ship, I guess now they're following me. Now I have to be extra cautious. To be captured, catch and fucking release. There's no turning back when you're fighting for your family and the home front.
This again.
I just want to
No,
know.
no,
I
no.
just want to know how.
No, put that back. No, no.
What now? How many more days until doomsday? Okay.
Levi. All right.
There is 256 days, 3 hours, 2 minutes, and 45 seconds. What now?
Excuse me. John?
John, Stephen Sharnley. This is my wife, Mage, and my daughter, Athena.
Nice to meet you.
This is my dad, John, and I'm Levi. I have something important to discuss and important issue.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of things are.
There is 254 days, 50 hours, 19 minutes, and 40 seconds. That's so what? Doomsday.
You have 156 days, 20 hours, 20 hours, 1 minute, and 2 seconds.
Doomsday.
If you guys, he has downloaded a widget on my phone, and every day, 6 o'clock in the morning, promptly, on cue,
Actually, 6:30 in the morning.
he yells at me every morning with how many days are left until the end of the world. It's called Mayan Doom Calendar. You can download it.
That's cute. Actually, that's funny.
Anyway, he's like that autistic kid from the new Kiefer Sutherland show.
You mean 24?
Yeah, it's like quantum physics in an autistic kid's head.
Worked, Ruth. The antibodies in my blood worked. My blood has saved you, Ruth. Do you know what this means? You and I can save all the others. We won't be alone. We'll never be alone again.
Hello again.
Levi, what are you doing with this kid?
He's so cute.
Stephen, Mage, Athena. You know, I saw you last night. You were startled by something.
Startled? Nothing startles Athena. Don't be fooled.
Well, that's not true. I actually startled someone else.
What story? What are you talking about?
Well, nothing. I just saw someone injecting something.
Injecting?
Injecting?
Good one, real funny. Vampire lies, don't lie.
What are you talking about?
Let me guess, he had big fangs, a hairy back with bad eyes, huh?
Real mature.
Come on, don't be Vincent Princess. Injecting, that's a good one. She watched the Vincent Price movie last night. Look, I'll be Vincent Price. Look, you will see it worked, Ruth. The antibodies in my blood worked. The blood has saved you, Ruth. Do you know what this means? You and I can save all the others. We'll call this conversation the last special child on Earth, okay?
Whatever, but yeah, okay. We watched that and I got a little scared and upset, but it was just a movie, right? But seriously, I was walking down the halls and I saw this door was open and I saw this guy and he was holding up like a spray bottle thing and he was putting it into a teapot. It was a really strange thing, but I thought he was injecting it at first.
Who?
Just some guy, looked like he worked here, or
Looked like he worked, and then he was probably doing his job.
well, looked like he worked here, or for.
Or for.
Somewhere, I don't know. Gosh, I don't have enough information to tell you anything, okay? But I probably wouldn't be drinking the waters in the room. Can I be excused?
Sure, see ya.
Can I be excused, Dad?
Sure thing, Levi. Your daughter's pretty interesting.
That's what we've been told.
You know, Steve, you don't mind if I call you Stephen?
No, feel free.
Sure-ly. Where's that from?
It's actually southern Scotland.
Southern Scotland, huh? Got something I want to talk to you about here. Kind of an interesting thing. You're with the Gene Fair?
That's correct.
It's a pretty big corporation.
I've worked for bigger.
You do gene-specific cancer treatment, genetic profiling.
Well, I'm not at liberty to discuss that.
You ever heard of the U.S. Army Institute for Environmental Medicine, Natick, Massachusetts?
I might have briefly heard something about that.
I'm going to tell you something. I'm an investigator. Over at the FDA, Food and Drug Administration.
Okay.
This is confidential. About 2 years ago, there was a study done, cancer linkage analysis. And we took a bunch of passports. We were analyzing epidemiology and monitoring avian flu bird disease, if you can believe it. And a lot of the statistics that we run analyze different diseases. Epidemiology, that's the study of diseases. I'm sure you know that.
Yes. So how does this affect me?
Well, 60 passengers were statistically linked to this cruise ship as having cancer. I just tracked a data mining operation out at Ponta Delgada. Pretty interesting operation they run. Essentially, they poison the water supply with cancer accelerators, something called trimethylcanceramine, ironically, which I think is humorous that it has the name cancer in it.
How's my company? How do you feel my company is involved in this?
This isn't quite an allegation as much as it is a statistical assessment of something that we're finding is competitive between Fort Detrick, which is out in Maryland, and the Frederick Research Facility that actually analyzed what we found. We've analyzed so many different types of cases. Cancer obviously is a big killer, and our conversation when we started this investigation is that this is bigger than 9/11. More people die from cancer every year than the 2,998 people who died in the attacks of 9/11. I think people don't see it exactly for what it is. This is
Well, you know what my company does.
I know that what we have tracked is an anomaly of cancer cases and people being monitored after this specific cruise ship goes out on their cruises.
Then shouldn't you be talking to the cruise line instead of me and my company?
Well, we feel that there is reason to analyze this particular cruise. If I were to tell you that 60 people died last year and we suspect in the next 6 months another 100 people to 1,000 people could die of cancer, and those 100 to 1,000 people dying of cancer were induced into cancer for research for a certain genetic cancer research firm, not GeneFair as of yet. We haven't quite determined who it is. Would you feel at liberty to be concerned?
Well, of course, anytime someone is given cancer, that would be a major concern.
It takes a long time to incubate some types of cancer. I imagine that the question that we have is the statistical anomaly of these cases, and what we're concerned about, obviously, is saving lives. Do you think the Food and Drug Administration has a role to regulate the United States Army's specific research? If I'm going to go ahead and leave this with you, I want you to browse through it a little bit. Use of adaptive neural network to stimulate physiological control systems. This is the smoke screen that they work through. And the private sector has been competing with control systems and different types of cancer research. But ultimately, no matter what the research smoke screen is, these people are coming down with cancer, and it's an immutable truth that the cancer is being induced. And we're highly concerned that the computer-aided breast cancer diagnosis and the U.S. Army Medical's research are conflicting with the specific company in general. This right here will narrow it down a little bit for you to see if there's any issues that you feel are part of...
Still seems to me, excuse me, John, that in a way you're kind of making allegations, or why would you be talking to him? I mean, what has led you specifically of interest to him?
Well, specifically...
It's kind of like you're telling us basically there's a cancer drug being used for euthanasia. Well, that's been around for centuries. So why now? Why us? Why him?
The amount of money that's involved in cancer research in and of itself by the many major competitors and players, stakeholders is what they call them in general, with the industry of cancer research, has very little to do with any one corporation. It is ultimately in the hands of the Food and Drug Administration to approve certain medications. This specific corporation, GeneFair, has been involved in many different types of lobbyist activities, and we feel that there's a crime network that's been used as a smokescreen. We can't prosecute the racketeering crime group.
Okay, so there is a tie to it.
But wouldn't that be the government's responsibility to put a stop to that?
The government's responsibility with these major corporations is to ensure, ultimately, I would imagine, in the investigative role of someone like who works at Fort Detrick, is to make sure that the competitors don't go outside the boundaries of what's acceptable. Regulator.
John, you know, it seems to me that you're, in a way, kind of making some accusations when, in fact, unless you have something to directly link GeneFair and him, why him? And wait, I'm not done yet. It's just like euthanasia. I mean, that's been around for centuries. So they're using cancer drugs to kill people. You have no proof. What's our link? Because obviously you have something more and you're not talking about it. We will not talk anymore unless you can be more clear and direct. Do you understand?
I will simplify it for you. An assassin works for the U.S. government who's been essentially running a very large campaign that is a new way of killing people. But in the industry of assassins, this one's a little bit different. What we're concerned about here, simplifying it for you, is that it takes a long time for someone to die of cancer, to follow them through the life cycle of incubating cancer and then ultimately getting the money out from underneath them, researching the test product, which is the unapproved Food and Drug Administration regulatory role with the United States Army Fort Detrick. The military has their authority, the corporation has their authority, and they all work together. But occasionally there are competitive groups out there that go a little too far. In this instance, if it wasn't for our high-level statistical analysis, we wouldn't have seen what was going on. We analyzed deaths. We watched people die. Can you imagine watching people die and then say, oh, there was people watching them raiding their bank accounts? We're concerned because this is a new form of murdering people.
But you
it's
haven't
slow.
really answered
But
me.
shouldn't the public be informed?
Yeah.
Shouldn't the news media,
The media.
be notified?
Why
Shouldn't there
him?
be a general alarm?
Why is he so special to get contacted by you?
Honestly, we feel that he's part of a useful idiot tool at a major corporation. He's been given a lot of influence, affluence, and that the influence and affluence has
So you want
unfortunately...
him for something.
So,
you want him for something.
excuse me, was I just called an idiot?
The corporation calls you an idiot.
So now my company thinks I'm an idiot.
Is this your term or their term?
Useful idiots have been used in the history of espionage, corporate industrial spying, since the beginning of mankind. They are essentially people who are tools who do not know what's going on. Do you know the amount of money involved annually in cancer research? I myself am only at liberty to discuss the analysis that we have managed to establish the rights to an investigation by.
So are they calling him an idiot?
Then, if I'm an idiot, then I resign. I quit. Grab my arm
Go.
and just go, no.
No,
Steve,
no, it's just stay. Just sit down. Just sit down.
my
Useful
son,
idiot.
my son here, come here. Levi didn't take off. Come here, Levi.
I don't want a child over here in this conversation.
Everyone's lives are affected.
I'm Kim. She's my dad. I'm with him always.
Everyone's lives are affected here. I have put myself in harm's way in order to bring people a truth that is not seen.
I mean, are we getting ready to go into Scotland tomorrow? What are you, Inspector Clouseau, or did you go to some Sherlock Holmes school? What's up? Really, we're going to Scotland tomorrow. What are you, from Scotland Yard? I mean, isn't that where Sherlock Holmes came from? Scotland, Ireland?
Honestly,
I mean,
I didn't mean to offend you and your husband.
Well,
It's so frustrating for me because I watch people die. I don't go and say, oh, it takes 3 years for someone to die and we have to prove that there's a cancer accelerator. I've already found the cancer accelerator. I've already found the chemicals that are being used to induce cancer. This is not some fabricated...
Do you realize you coming here could put his life in danger? And our life? Oh my God. You should have never come here. Never. Never. You shouldn't even have come here.
Ma'am, finding the right person means finding the right person with the right morals. Finding the person who has the capacity to make the right decision. Of all the employees at Gene Fair, and I say this is the utmost confidence...
He's a useful idiot, right?
No, the utmost confidence of everything. That he is one of the most qualified, one of the most morally upstanding individuals in a corporation of killers.
What do you have to say? I mean, I have nothing more to say.
If I work for a bunch of killers, then they should all go to prison.
They kill for the competition. They find the right medication. But they do it and there's lives that are taken.
We're leaving now.
Okay.
Let's go.
Stephen?
Yes.
I give you an opportunity. I give you a get out jail-free card, essentially is what it is. You're going to take this. I want you to read it. I want you to know that if a corporation ever opens its eyes to you that this is what they're doing,
You're scaring me. Can you just stop?
that the United States Army, Environmental Medicine, and the FDA may have a job for you that will remove the leashes and bonds that have locked themselves into that corporation. You have a good night.
Okay,
Hope to
I'll
see
read
you,
it.
and be safe.
I'll read it. Thank you.
How am I gonna tell him? I've tried to tell him, but then he thinks I'm talking about some vampire. It's so irritating. I could try to tell him in Paris, but then everybody think I'm weird because I'm American. Well, and then that John dude, he's just getting on my nerves because then he tries to embarrass me in front of my parents because he's like, well, I saw you the other night. You seemed a little bit startled. No, I wasn't. I was trying not to be startled, in fact. Everything's so complicated. My dad doesn't believe me, and then this John dude is nosy, and then his kid, well, he's adorable, but... And then my mom, she's just quiet. I don't get it.
I can't talk right now.
You gotta tell me something.
I get tons of...
No, I can't talk.
Why?
Because I feel someone's watching us.
You're not even...
Good detectives find the way to get the high ground. The high ground over their questions, a high ground over every piece of forensic information they can find. What was I really looking at? Where were we going? Telling this man, finding the warehouse in Ponta Delgada, knowing that he had more contacts along the way, if he was a useful idiot, would he even know he's being used as an information carrier? I decided, simply put, and to start thinking like them.
I imagined getting into his employer's head, seeing how he was following him. I imagined looking at him from a distance, getting that peripheral view, getting the high ground. I knew what I had to do, and I just imagined getting on top of the castle and just sitting there looking down with my surveillance and following him, and I had to get into his boss's head. Get the high ground. Get into his head. Get the high ground. Get into his head. I am an epistemological forensic detective. I trape through history as a bureau pathologist traipse through bureaucracies to find the trait and the attribute of a disease, the social stigma, the sickness dwelling within man's ability to reprise and recurse and make his history repeat itself on top of itself again, like software inside the genetic code, a cancerous tumor, some type of evil corruption, and still there it was. The Ravenscraig facility, separated by one letter from some successor at the Allen Memorial Institute in Canada, or the sickened, depraved, sadomasochistic psychiatric institution of America, financed research in de-patterning and psychic driving with Donald Ewan Cameron, the sickness that became an institution. One single letter separates the history from 1470 to 1970, and still seeing this cancer research facility right across the way gave me the putrescent sickness of the disease that a natural defense would even be invaded upon. A natural defense, something that is a name that combats cancer. But what is cancer? If cancer was a disease built into man to kill him, then by his own greed and admonitions, what I'm finding out, tailing this one employee, tailing the sickness of this type of research, the cancer in epidemiology. After looking at this epistemology, the epistemics of this network, I realized it was a machine of corruption that would chew me up and spit me out. I had to find a way to elicit some resources. I had a case I could use. It's just sometimes weighing the balances of the resources you need. How could I take resources that were legitimately part of some other conflict and bring them into the right investigation? It was going to be tricky, and it was going to be dangerous. Now I had to mobilize. I had to find my Holmes. I had to find my Watson. Next stop, Scotland Yard.
Well, this is Dietrich. Yeah, no, I got the word. The data mining operation in Ponte Delgado, we got it all figured out. What I assume is probably the best way to go about this is we have an operational library. We should probably go into the operational library and start compiling the different emails that will allow people to work together so they know what they're doing. Yeah, I know which emails they are. Just go ahead and follow the account. I'll go ahead and post it on the Facebook account. That way we can keep track of what's going on. It needs to be timed. Yes, I'm going to 54 Broadway. Yeah, I do understand that they're probably going to have some problems with the SPR, but I don't care. No, I don't know if they've connected the marienstrasse 54 at a Hamburg cell to lindenstrasse 54 in the Stasi headquarters. Yeah, the former code-breaking office at 54 Broadway definitely has the case. It's obviously not there. Well, as soon as I get near the Westminster consular's office, you can pull up all the files on Houston, the SSN 713-1, SSN 713-2. At that point, go ahead and pull up everything with Baker, an email account, sealkosky_gravity@yahoo.com, and then pull up everything with Holmes. Baker, Holmes, and Westminster. Those are the 3 keywords for the entire account. So this is the target here. We've got Westminster, Colorado, right? That's part of the Operation Banana. This is the woman who tried to exploit the SBR. Her name is Gail Bridge-Cuneo, and she is an SBR agent. This is your Russian contact in the United States Air Force. He's the prosecutor at NORAD. They're prosecuting this person right here. So I guess you take this to Scotland Yard. Go ahead and make sure you get every email in the account. Right. It goes to Holmes in the account, sealkosky_gravity@yahoo.com. Right. Every email with Holmes and Baker. Okay. Wonderful. Awesome. Have a good day.
Today, thousands march peacefully along the streets of Westminster. Starting in plain sight across the Thames River, a man at SIS headquarters could see from Vauxhall a little reprieve, countless steps trotting through the city for community, for family, for the cohesion of strong human intuition that deductive reasoning brings the many police forces of London together. It wasn't an act of protest, nor anonymous hacking CIA servers. It wasn't a protest you could hear but you could see.
This message has been hacked. This message has been interrupted by Anonymous. Your budget is having been cut, and we have information. If you want it, we will give it to you. Still iffy as to whether Mr. Shearingley was involved as a collaborationist. Yet, Scotland Yard had clarified at least one thing, that the man he was making contact with had already been listening to my phone before the FDA authorized the investigation.
Your contact at the Ravenspring is Marion Strassmeyer.
Marion Strassmeyer. Thank
I was drawn to Baker Street. Walking down the street, all of a sudden, I looked over. Something triggered in my brain. I didn't know what it was. 221B. Baker. Watson. Holmes. Baker. Watson. Holmes. I jumped back to Ponte Delgado, where I was interrogated on SP-117, and there she was. I saw her. I asked her if I knew her. Had I seen her? Do I know you? The chess game opened up again. Positioning strategies. And there was Bletchley Park. It was an idea about code breaking, a chess game between a masterman, a mastermind, who was manipulating people. She asked me to go in. I obliged.
Two-phase reactions. If you actually do it with a
validation that these properties were purchased by Army Signals Intelligence at the end of World War II, that they stayed in the family, and that when the Soviet KGB and Stasi alliance went after Reconstruction, they came after my entire family. We didn't know about it. And Secretary James Baker, by Article 116, he knows the importance of what was going on in 1988. That grandchildren and children in the law of return with these German repatriation cases that ultimately Germany was reconstructing. I know the FBI has the Andreas Strassmayer case. I know that Andreas Strassmayer implicates the German government in reconstruction plans and ties it to Terry Nichols and Timothy McVeigh in the F. Murray building being blown up on 4/20/1995. As far as tapping into this global depopulation conspiracy,
This is huge. This is bigger than just what you can do here. I mean, we have other pieces of this puzzle. Would you be willing to share your information with us? Is this all that you have?
then the fact that someone like the Prime Minister is going to have to come through with Operation Venona and validate it and give the resource, go all the way back to the Official Secrets Act from 1911 if you have to. I know there's validation. Do what needs to be done.
But we want to know what else you know, or even stuff that you think you don't know. We would very much like to collaborate.
Then I would assume that the Prime Minister would be willing to confer that and look a little further into a very important US-UK Joint Strategy Board.
We will begin that kind of conversation.
Do, however, have great concern if this World War II ultra code-breaking file, this relocated, Erwin Rommel subordinate file, essentially, is enough validation to continue. I tried as hard as I could at the opening of the U.S. Olympic torch ceremony to get the Operation Torch file to fit into the circumference of a security environment that was multilateral between the U.S. and the U.K. I mean, what I have to do to get something through. Oh my God.
I think you're scratching the tip of an iceberg.
And it's quite scary. I don't know anything about it. I'm just a dumb American. I was raised in a family with fortunate intelligence. The only thing that I know is how to be a...
Forensics has exploded since the days of Joseph Bell, who inspired the stories of Sherlock Holmes and Dr. Watson. And now code-breaking forensics has become an international technological exercise that goes into biotechnology, genetics, population studies, epidemiology. This is huge.
Basically, where I figure we got to start all over from scratch. If I'm right, this ultra file was targeted because of a reconstruction, repatriation strategy that required the German Bundeswehr, the Luftwaffe, to build some type of signals intelligence, some type of code-breaking section preceding, and I imagine it goes all the way back to the banking industry, the same as breaking the M4 Enigma. We're going to Bletchley.
Airbus and Ritter sold the early Enigma machines on the open market. An Enigma was originally intended to be a machine for keeping commercial secrets, such as banking information. Their first version, Model A, was exhibited in 1923 at an international exhibition in Switzerland, and 3 versions, Model B, C, and D, quickly followed.
So I don't know what you know, but essentially this has all come from the banking industry, but the encoding and other cryptic practices. So I don't actually know what you understand, but it's all come from the commercial sector.
Well, we're under the impression right now, I'm almost certain that currency exchange predictability, weather forecast, it all started in NIST and NOAA. George Bush Sr. gave his speech about the New World Order on September 11, 1991, and we're pretty certain that when 9/11 occurred, that there's a code layer to it. We're not quite sure what it is. So we've got this case ready, and the M4 in this document that we have is pretty much the primer. It talks about the Department of Commerce. It's actually in the Office of Spatial Commercialization, but Department of Commerce, M4, you can go into the document, and all you have to do is find the reference of M4. It's the Debenture Web contract. It's based on this Mars military auxiliary radio system. So you should be able to get the authority you need to continue the investigation with the collection of standards.
So exactly what have you found out so far?
Well, we figured that currency exchange software, they were using feed-forward neural networking, and they basically mobilized the date 10 years before, and the date of 9/11 was mobilized from September 11, 1991, and that NIST, the Standards Office in Boulder, and NOAA, that they were using high-level software for feed-forward neural networking. And I don't quite understand the entire thing, so
who else knows this?
pretty much a considerable amount of people. So I don't know where or how you're going to get the information, but there you go, pretty much.
Oh, this looks really interesting.
Yeah, it's analog computer.
Analog computer. Okay,
Yes.
so it's not scrambled.
There might be. There's a wheel right up here at the front, which you can see is the wheeled encoder, and you just kind of figure it out. Here's all the little parts. This is the little
Okay,
wheel.
so you wanted me to put it together?
Yeah, you pretty much have to figure it out
I have to
because
crack this code?
yeah, you have to crack the code.
Great. I think I've got a
We lost the
thing that can
planner.
do that.
The planner got basically blown up in the attacks. Pentagon. They're working in the meteorology office. There's 113 of them.
Okay, well, I'm looking for allies, so I'll dig into
and
this.
and it really doesn't. I don't know if you're going to get anyone to really believe it, but there you go. The case had already started well before 9/11.
Okay.
Yeah, all right.
So, did you know what your haplogroup is?
No, I had no idea. I didn't even know what a haplo group was. So for me, it's been a wonderful educational experience. As we journeyed through this with you, we kind of went to support you, not really thinking it would, just didn't know. And it has been the most amazing experience going back to where our roots were, because you got all the DNA information, and then we followed it from there, doing this family trip, which really bonded you back to that experience where you evolved and your ancestry began. And it's been a wonderful experience, and I actually, it's been the best experience of my life. It has just been I can't even put it into words. It's been amazing, and I would do it again in a heartbeat. I mean, I wish I had different routes, like every year, to where I could go somewhere different every year, and I would do it every year. Like maybe my right arm was one country and my left arm was one, and I would go to each country and experience that, because it has been the best experience ever.
Did you know that your daughter there has the same progressive map and the genetic travel plan and your son and so on and so forth, and this is kind of bringing the family together.
No, and I didn't even know when you did the DNA and we found out that my roots were over in England and different parts of the country over in Europe. I had been told something different. So, you know, as you grow up, you're told you're this and you're that, and you're a mutt. You know, I was Swedish and Indian and different things, and a couple of those I wasn't even any of that. So when you get your DNA, you realize, wow, it's a sure thing, because that's who you are.
Do you think next time you'd like to go on the patrilineal, your husband's side of his genetics?
Oh, absolutely. And that's another trip, you know.
In part of the European travel that you guys went on just now, following the matrilineal, the mother's side of the genetics, did you feel that the company Ports of Call haplogroups could have done a little better to find a way to meet the needs of the father and the mother in following their ancestry? That's one of the flaws that I saw with the company. That's why I'm asking.
I don't really think so.
Ask us a different question.
I think it's such a divergence that you can only go so far back in each other's lineage. So I guess you'd have to draw a stopping point.
If you guys did this next year, would you want to isolate maybe just the paternal side and go follow the paternal side back to its paternal?
Sure, like two, 3 generations back. Yeah.
Yeah, now be more specific, not so broad.
Well, we did the U4D2 haplogroup of the maternal, which shows that the next generation, which is haplogroup R, goes into further ancestry into Mesopotamia and so on and so forth. Next year, would you be more interested in going into the next lineage of the haplogroup?
Absolutely.
More into the European and Northern Africa and
because
the Middle East.
It's like every step that you take, you want to learn more. You want to go farther back because that's part of who you are. So the lineage, you want to follow the lineage back as far as you can.
Do you guys understand the pop and mom gene? There's two finite principles in the haplogroup. Ultimately, if you kept going each generation back, the father's side would end up in the pop gene, which is North Africa. The mother's side would end up in the pop gene, which is also North Africa. Do you feel that, biblically speaking, religiously, that this is kind of like following Adam and Eve's genetic roots?
Yeah.
A lot of the company is developed on trying to just come up with a travel plan and find a way to, follow your roots from a genetic, DNA map and saying this is the way that you guys have assessed a 5-year travel plan. This is your first travel plan. We went through Ponte Delgado, then we went up through Ireland, Scotland, and the European ancestry. And do you think that this was all in all a better way to plan a travel plan?
Yeah, it's okay.
Yeah, a trip. You mean based on genealogy? Sure. Yeah, everybody's interested in that.
I mean, when you take a trip like this, you're not only just paying for a trip, but you're having a relationship with it because it's something that connects you to that area specifically.
Do you think that this is an emergent field of genetics and
Yes.
market industry?
Yes, I think it's a new and upcoming thing because, like I said, you're having this relational experience with your origin of being, and it relates back to Adam and Eve, and it's fascinating.
Do you think that most of the genealogy and the genetics say that the Adam and Eve bloodlines died out according to the genotyping, the haplogroup typing, and I think that biblically speaking, religiously speaking, following the genotypes all the way back to the mom and pop genes in Africa, that there's probably some missing construment about following Adam and Eve historically from the genotyping. Do you feel that following your haplogroup this year, starting into this, that the company Ports of Call haplogroup is giving you a way to kind of find the investigative tools and look into making your annual travel plan based on going further into your genetic roots?
Well, it really pre-plans it for you because it's not like you go, oh, where do I want to go? Now you've got this, again, this relationship with that area of where you were born, where your ancestors were, and so it takes you back there. It's already planned for you.
Any comments about the idea, any creative idea, something that just kind of spurns you about what this is as an idea for traveling the gene path of the gene tree?
No, I'd just like to say it's great.
It's been amazing. It really has. And to learn more about your ancestry and why maybe you are the way you are and who you are. And you just become really close to that area. You're like, wow, I could live here. It's cool.
Well, for anyone interested in following Portsa Call Haplogroup Journeys, the company, go ahead and check out this video. It's kind of a creative effort to show the family bonding together in one of these travel plans. I hope you enjoy it. Have a good time watching it.